Hello, students. Today we will study the topic globalization, which is a subtopic of the chapter Economic Reform since 1991. In the previous videos, you have already studied about the need for economic reforms, the policy of liberalization, the policy of privatization, and now today we will see what is globalization. Now, to start with, we will first discuss the meaning of globalization. What does this term mean? Now, globalization basically indicates to the global market, that is, market at the global level. So, when our economy, our domestic economy, is connected with rest of the world, it can be called globalization. And how this connection is done, it can be done in the field of investment, trade, production, or any other financial matter. So it is basically the interaction of the domestic economy with the rest of the world with regard to foreign investment, trade, production, and financial matters. And it is also said that basically globalization is the outcome of liberalization and privatization. So when we introduce these two steps, globalization automatically takes place because we get connected with the rest of the world and the globalization takes place. It is popularly described as, these are some words which are said about globalization: widening, deepening, and speeding up of worldwide interconnectedness in all aspects of contemporary social life, from cultural to criminal, the financial to the spiritual. So, this definition says that it is the interconnection among all the nations in all the fields, whether we talk about the cultural field, social field, financial field, or even spiritual field. So this is what globalization means. Globalization basically refers to borderless economy. Actually, every nation has a border, but when we get connected in different fields like trade, finance, production, so we get connected to rest of the world, and it is a sort of borderless economy. Globalization was introduced in our country in 1990s. It was introduced when the finance minister was Dr. Manmohan Singh, and our country was facing economic crisis. We were having huge fiscal deficit, very high imports, huge borrowings, and low foreign exchange reserves. So to meet this economic crisis, the international monetary institutions, they asked us to introduce the LPG policy. Though the policy was introduced in 1990s, but if we look back upon the philosophy of ancient Indian philosophers, they talked about Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which means the whole world is a family. So they envisioned this concept much before we introduced this concept in 1990s. Now we will see what are the aspects of globalization. First is trade and transactions. So this is one aspect of globalization, that when globalization takes place, we get connected with the rest of the world in the field of trade, and we do transactions. It can be export, import of goods or services, capital and investment movement. So even the investment inflows and outflows takes place. Migration may also take place. This is also one way to get connected. People may go and give their services. They may give their services sitting in the country itself also, but they may go to other countries in search of better opportunities. Then dissemination of knowledge. So lots of knowledge based services we are giving to other countries also. We'll study about that. So dissemination of knowledge is also one aspect of globalization, that we share our knowledge, and with this we get connected with the other countries. Now here are some companies which are in Indian market because of the policy of liberalization, or say privatization or globalization, because we have got connected with the multinational companies which have operations in several countries. So these companies are there in Indian market. You can see Procter and Gamble, all these companies we all know about it, Bridgestone, then Oracle, Citibank, Vodafone, Ford, Pfizer, Sony. So all these multinational companies are there in the Indian market. Now we'll see what are the advantages of globalization. The first is increase in compensation or income. So when companies from outside the country, they get connected, they hire our services, or they set up something in our country, obviously the income of our country rises. They pay to us for our skill and knowledge, and as a result our income rises. The next is high standard of living. So this argument is given in favor of globalization. Because of globalization, there are various products available in the market, and people's purchasing behavior also change, because now they get a wide range of products. Their income also rises, and because of that, people say that the standard of living also increases. There is an international market for companies, and for consumers there is a wider range of products to choose from. The next argument which is given in favor of globalization is it creates employment opportunities. So obviously with the entry of multinational companies, they hire Indian professionals, or with the advent of the business process outsourcing, they provide employment opportunities, especially in the field of pharmaceutical. They have given BPOs, petroleum manufacturing, or chemical sectors. This has helped to reduce the level of unemployment and poverty in the country, because they have set up industries in India. The next advantage which we can say is advanced technology. So when these companies come to our country, they bring their advanced technology also along with them, and this advanced technology helps India to have higher production and get greater benefits. Then next is increase in flow of investments. So we have just discussed investments flow in the country from developed countries to developing nations, and this money can be used in the reconstruction of the developing nation. Then removal of cultural barriers. So globalization has not only affected the field of trade or industry, it has also affected the culture of a country. When one country gets connected to other country, culture of one country affects the culture of another country. Like earlier in India, nobody knew about these things like burger, pizza, and all, McDonald's, or such things. But with the advent of all these companies, now in every city they are having their outlet, and everybody is aware about the company and the products. So it also removes the cultural barriers. People come into interaction. Let us have a look on the presentation of globalization.
आज आप अपने घर में बैठे बैठे इंडिया से आम, ब्राजील से कॉफी और फ्रांस से वाइन खरीद सकते हैं। क्या आप जानते हैं कि ये सब कैसे होता है? जी हाँ, ये इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड का कमाल है। इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड बिजनेस को बढ़ाने का एक तरीका है जिसमें वर्ल्ड को एक ग्लोबल मार्केट की तरह देखा जाता है। ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी इंप्रूव करने के लिए बहुत से देश आगे आ रहे हैं। इसे इकोनॉमिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन कहा जाता है। ग्लोबलाइजेशन या इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड के लिए कई देश इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर से ऊपर उठ के आपसी हित के लिए आगे आते हैं। ग्लोबलाइजेशन दुनिया भर में बिजनेस, सर्विस और टेक्नोलॉजी की ग्रोथ, डेवलपमेंट और एक्सपेंशन के लिए जिम्मेदार है। ग्लोबलाइजेशन में पूरी दुनिया को सिंगल मार्केट की तरह देखा जाता है। आप लोगों में से कुछ लोगों के लिए ग्लोबलाइजेशन नया टर्म हो सकता है, लेकिन वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी लंबे समय से एक दूसरे पर निर्भर रही है। पिछले कुछ सालों में ग्लोबलाइजेशन रेट एक्सपोनेंशियली बढ़ा है, जिसके पीछे कई कारण हैं। उन कारणों में इजी ट्रांसपोर्टेशन और पॉपुलेशन एक्सप्लोजन सबसे पहले आते हैं। ट्रेड के इजी रूल्स भी ग्लोबलाइजेशन को सपोर्ट करते हैं। ग्लोबलाइजेशन में एक्चुअल रिवॉल्यूशन डोमिनेटिंग ब्रांड्स की वजह से देखने को मिली है। साथ ही मार्केट्स में कंपटीशन बढ़ने के कारण प्रोडक्ट्स के रेट्स में भी कमी आई है। वर्ल्ड ट्रेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के प्रयासों की वजह से पिछले कुछ दशकों में कई देशों ने इंपोर्ट किए जाने वाले प्रोडक्ट्स पे टैक्सेस के रेट्स को भी कम किया है। इन सब के साथ ही टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट ने भी ग्लोबलाइजेशन में इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले किया है। इसने ट्रेड को इतना आसान कर दिया है कि हम दुनिया भर का कोई भी प्रोडक्ट घर बैठे खरीद सकते।
Now we will see what are the disadvantages of globalization. There are some critics who also criticize it. Like some critics say, it enhances consumerism, as a young population of India doesn't mind spending despite the inflation. So some critics say that it encourages consumerism. All these companies, they produce lots of FMCG products, and which encourages the consumerism. People go and buy the product even at high price. And some critics also say that this globalization is a threat of multinational corporations, and they feel that these multinational corporations may rule the globe. For smaller developing nations at the receiving end, it could indirectly lead to a subtle form of colonization. Benefits of globalization accrue more to developed countries than to developing countries. So this is one point they raise, that the multinational corporations, with the use of globalization, they may have a sort of monopoly, and they may use it. The outsourcing of jobs to developing countries has resulted in loss of job in developed countries. So outsourcing is one you can say impact of globalization, and it has resulted in loss of job in the developed nations, because the same job is now being done at a lower cost by the developing countries. The next is widening gap between rich and poor. So in globalization, it is market driven, and here it increases the economic disparities. This is what is said by the critics, that this culture of globalization, it basically supports the rich class and not the poor class. They have nothing to do with the liberalization, privatization, or globalization. The poor class condition remains the same, or it worsens in such scenario. This is what they say. So now we will see what is outsourcing. Outsourcing is basically an impact of globalization only. So outsourcing, a company recruits regular service from outside sources, often from other nations, which was earlier hired internally or from within the nation, like computer service, legal advice, etc. So outsourcing basically means hiring a service which was earlier taken from the country itself. Right? So it is a kind of asking a third party vendor to work for you on a contractual basis. So works which can be done with the help of IT, like computer service, legal advice, etc., they can be given to other countries, and mostly the developed nations give it to developing nations, because in developing nations there are certain advantages. We will discuss about all those. So many of the services, such as voice based business processes, commonly known as business process outsourcing or call centers, accountancy, record keeping, music recording, banking services, book transcription, film editing, clinical advices, or teachers are being outsourced by companies in advanced countries to India. So in all these fields, we are giving services to other developed nations. Here there is a quotation by Tom Peters, who's a management guru. He says, "Do what you do best and outsource the rest." So this quotation itself says the need of outsourcing, that whatever you can do, you do, and rest of the things you outsource. Is that means to get it done by the third party, which the third party which can do it in a better way. So the question is, why do companies outsource? What is the reason they outsource? First reason is they get access to skilled expertise. Suppose there is a company in America, and America outsources some job, some work, some project to India. So why will that American company outsource the job to us? There has to be some reasons. So, like, first reason, which it can be, get access to skill expertise. So if a very skilled person resides in some other country, through outsourcing, that person can be accessed, his services can be taken. Next is focus on core activities. Now, like, just we will discuss the same example, like the American company. That company can now focus on core activities in their own country, which are more important in nature. So they can focus on that by diverting or say outsourcing some of the jobs outside the country. Then increasing in-house efficiency. So obviously when some of the job will be outsourced, the burden will be less over there at their office. And then there will be in-house efficiency. That means in that particular firm, in that particular corporation, the efficiency will increase. It is also useful because they can run business 24 by 7. International timings differ, and when they outsource the job, the same job is done with the double speed. The next is improve service and delight the customer. So people who are skilled in handling the customers, they look after the outsourced job and they do it in a better way. So the company is also happy, customer is also happy, and the nation which is providing the outsourcing services is also happy because they are also getting money in return of their services. The next is cut costs and save big. Now, mostly the developed nations outsource their jobs to developing nations, and in these developing nations, usually the population is high, and problem of unemployment is there. Educated people are there, human resources available, who is ready to do the job at a very low rate. So they are happy, whatever money they are getting, they are happy with that payment. The multinational company or the foreign company is also happy because they are paying a lesser amount of money to a person working from developing nations. So they are also happy, and this leads to cost cutting and they can save big. So these are the reasons that why companies go for outsourcing. Some foreign companies which outsource jobs to India. These are a few examples just for your awareness, like Ford, Cisco, American Express, General Electronics, Microsoft, and there are many other companies which outsource their jobs to India. And Indian people do jobs for them sitting in India with the help of business process outsourcing, call center, etc. Now, the question is, why India is a favorite outsourcing destination. India is a very favorite destination of the developed nations, and we also get huge earning by outsourcing. So, why India is a favorite hub of this outsourcing? The first reason is easy availability of cheap labor. We know that we have a very big pool of human resource, and because of that, and problem of unemployment is also there, problem of poverty is also there. So people, educated people are there. Educated stock of people is available in the country, and they are ready to do the job at a cheaper level as compared to the level asked by a person sitting in that foreign country. Next advantage is that we have skills. Indian population is skilled in operating computers and speaking English language. So all these are some advantages because of which they prefer hiring Indian people. and because they are already skilled, they require a little bit of training only, and the companies have to invest less time and money in their training. Then stable political environment, mostly we have a good democratic system in the country, which usually provides a stable and secure environment for the MNCs to operate. Then next is a good IT infrastructure. Our IT professionals are very good. In India, IT infrastructure is also very good, which supports the outsourcing. We have some uh, good IT professionals also in the country. This is some Indian companies which give outsourcing services. These are a few companies which offer outsourcing services. There are some more other than these, like HCL, Infosys, Capgemini, HP. So all these are companies which give services to foreign companies, foreign companies or countries. Then opposition of outsourcing by developed nations. Now, this is also very important issue related with outsourcing, that the developed nations oppose some of nowadays opposing the jobs being outsourced to the developing nations. And why they are opposing? They are opposing because they are losing their jobs over there. When India is getting job, outsourced job, India is in a beneficial position because we are getting money from them. We are getting job and we are getting money in return. So for India it is beneficial. But when we talk about the developed nations, people living in those countries are now opposing it. They say that it is leading to outflow of capital from the developed countries to the developing countries. So this is what they say, that when they give us payments, it leads to outflow of capital from their own country. They also raise the point that there is a reduction in employment in the developed countries because now their job is being outsourced to the developing nation. So the job which was done previously by them is now being done by the developing nations, and which is leading to employment over there, unemployment over there. Also, the MNCs contribute more to the development of the host country than the home country. So, this is another point raised against the outsourcing in the developed nations, that the developed nation, they contribute more to the development of the host country. Host country means the country where they are outsourcing their jobs. So, when we conclude about globalization or outsourcing, we can say that it leads, basically it leads to modernization, and this modernization, upgradation of technology, and change in the cultural setup, financial setup, and in all the other fields is very obvious, and it is basically positive, though it has negative impacts also. But change is the law of nature, and in today's world we cannot close our doors and sit isolated. It is a time when we have to get along with others, and with globalization, it has obviously resulted in the advancement of our country. So thank you so much.